Akin told himself that he would never give up. Whenever Akin saw an advert of those who needed home lesson teachers in mathematics, he would apply. With this, Akin became a mathematics teacher to primary school boys and girls living in Ajegunle and its environs. Akin knew the importance of education. It has always been his dream to go to school. He saw education as the escape route for the ghetto life. With the little money Akin gathered, he enrolled for the first school leaving certificate examination. While teaching his students, he would read through their notes and textbooks. With this, he prepared himself adequately for the examination. When the results were released, Akin passed by merit, though he had a distinction in mathematics. His next target was the secondary school leaving examination called WAEC and the Joint Admission Matriculation Board examination, which would qualify him into the university. But this cost a lot of money. Akin asked his mother and brother for help, but they both complained of having their own individual financial challenges. Having no other choice, Akin asked the professor for help. The professor was amazed at Akin's plan, as he never told anyone before. The professor gave him the money and wished him the best. Akin got the examination pass questions in all subjects and began to study very hard. He knew how the money was difficult to get. He didn't want to write the exam twice. After the exams, Akin was nervous for the few weeks that followed. He was worried and scared. When the results came out, it wasn't so good as he expected, but he passed enough to get him into the university. Getting admission into the university became a big problem. For 3 years, Akin failed to get admission into the University of Lagos because he kept having low scores in the university entrance examination. He wanted to study mechanical engineering. In his attempt at getting an admission, Akin studied day and night. He promised himself that the next attempt would be the last. When the admission list came out, Akin was offered admission to study mathematics. Akin was so sad. He loved mathematics, but he felt studying engineering would get him richer faster. What could mathematics possibly do for him? To him, the only job for a mathematician was to become a teacher. But he promised himself that that would be his last entrance examination. Reluctantly, he accepted the admission. While Akin was battling to gain admission into the university, he failed to think about how he would be able to pay his tuition fees and fend for himself while in school. He just concentrated more on getting the admission. Akin looked at his admission letter in his hands. This was his destiny in his hands. He couldn't afford to let himself down. He thought of all his struggles and what it took him to get to where he was. He couldn't afford to let his efforts waste. He needed to pay his acceptance fees first. He sold his phone. He worked 10 times harder and raised the money. He paid his acceptance fee and resumed school. At school, Akin was faced with yet another challenge. Yes, he was good at mathematics, but other courses were difficult for him as he didn't have the basic knowledge from primary and secondary school like the other classmates. He was also faced with some courses the professor had never mentioned to him. Education was proving more difficult than he expected it to be. So he decided to tutor himself. He also went back to the professor during his first semester holiday. He gathered his old books. He also took some tutorial lessons from professor. Soon, Akin's classmates began to notice that Akin was a very good mathematician and began to come to him for tutorial. Akin seized the opportunity to charge them money for the lessons he offered them. Akin taught his classmates at all levels. This and the home lesson tutorial in mathematics for children in primary and secondary schools, Akin was able to pay his school fees and fend for himself. During the holidays, he would do menial jobs too. Finally, Akin graduated with a second-class upper, and he also went for his NYSC in Plateau State. After his NYSC, Akin searched for a job, all to no avail. He decided to settle for a teaching job. But this wasn't the life he wanted. One day, while visiting the professor, it occurred to him that he could be a lecturer. So he decided to work towards getting his master's degree and PhD. He succeeded. Today, Akin is one of the most brilliant mathematicians with a list of honors to his name.